shred it down to base metal, sort and separate, ship it back to the factory, inland or overseas. Recycling reduces complex products to heaps of plastic and metal. How sustainable is this method in a world of scarce resources? A process called remanufacturing, on the other hand, does not destroy old products. Instead, it refurbishes and upgrades them by building upon their core components. What went in complex comes out complex, upgraded and ready for use. Although much less known than recycling, remanufacturing could save Britain money, energy and scarce materials. But can industry's best kept secret become the new norm of sustainable business? Bond Group in Sheerness manufactures refrigerated cabinets. Today, almost half of their business is remanufacturing old cabinets to help UK retailers cut energy use and replacement costs at the same time.
This is a cabinet that came in from a client. He asked us to remanufacture the cabinet. It came in as an open-fronted cabinet, but he wanted it to be turned into an eco version. The things we've changed are all the back panels, the top ceiling panels are all remanufactured. So they're taken off the cabinet, stripped with paint, resprayed, put all back on the cabinet. The shelves are also done the same, depending on what condition the actual cabinet comes back to us in. We also fit LED lights to it and electronic fans to make it more energy efficient. When you look at the cabinet, you can actually see they are 20 years old. With a remanufactured cabinet, that could probably go through 20, 30 years.
Remanufacturing is the processes that we use to ensure that a product, at the end of its first useful life, is able to have a second useful life doing the same thing again. If it's a chair, it becomes a chair. If it is recycled down into something that becomes pulp fibre in fiberboard, that's not remanufacturing, that's recycling.
Building upon the core of an old product can save a lot of materials and money from being wasted.
The client has between sort of 20 and 40% saving on a brand new product. It also has a saving from the point of view of sending cabinets back out with energy saving doors on it, which may save about 40% on the energy, and also energy saving fans and LED technology, which the original cabinet didn't have.
Saving through remanufacturing is pushed to the extreme when it comes to heavy machinery used in industry. This business in Sheffield remanufactures tools for manufacturers in the UK and beyond.
These pockets have been damaged, they've been bent round, all the pockets on this row. There's some more damage on this top area and some more damage to a couple of the pockets in the bottom.
And this particular tool is called a broach segment. It's used in engine plants in automotive industries. A full drum of broach segments, as they're referred to, is around 70 pieces of this type of tooling. So we're looking at potentially a replacement value just in cost alone of over £200,000 to replace a complete drum. The saving to the client of remanufacturing those can be anything from 90% to around about 60% of the original cost of purchasing it. The actual resources that would be scrapped and thrown away if remanufacturing to these didn't occur on a whole drum is the wastage of round about 1¼ tons of material in its finished form, but these particular tools probably come out of a section of metal maybe 3 or 4 times higher than its finished article. To actually throw away over 4 tons of metal if it wasn't remanufactured is just ludicrous.
Despite the promise of substantial savings, remanufacturing is still far from its true potential in the UK.
Today we've really got no estimates of the flow of all of the product materials that people take from car showrooms and from supermarkets and buying online. You add up all of that material and what percentage by weight or money comes back into the system as remanufactured products. It's below 1%. That's far below its potential. It could be 20% or more.
Even the most conservative estimates indicate that remanufacturing could more than double its contribution to the UK economy if it was properly supported and consciously developed. And while that would still represent just a fraction of the UK's total manufacturing value, remanufacturing could create up to 300,000 new skilled jobs in the sector. Yet, there are no government programmes or tax incentives to develop remanufacturing in the UK. And as far as British law and standards are concerned, remanufacturing doesn't even exist.
There is no legal definition of remanufacturing, and that might sound very simple, but actually it is very important because it affects public perception of what remanufacturing is, and the public are not confident about what the word remanufacturing means. And some of the negative consequences of that are people may think that remanufactured goods are the same thing as second-hand goods, to which they attach a pejorative understanding.
They don't think it's going to come back in as a new product. They think they're going to struggle with the amount of service and backup and parts facility that they're going to have in comparison to a new cabinet.
The biggest misconception is that the tool may not work as good as a new tool.
At the moment, a remanufactured product could be anything from I just give it a spray to make it smell nice to I take great care to make sure that it will last longer than it's ever done before. That's a wide range of performance, and consumers are not comfortable having to pick their way through that. So one of the things that I think would really help the remanufacturing industry is if the government improved trading standards and helped develop standards that consumers could trust.
It's not only businesses and consumers who are clueless on remanufacturing. The UK government and public institutions, like the NHS, won't purchase remanufactured goods either.
It's very clear that governments themselves aren't very good at procuring remanufactured products because their procurement rules say we don't want to buy second-hand. If the government changed that internal legal interpretation and allowed government departments to purchase what are superior goods at cheaper prices, that's a good thing, then that would be encouraging a remanufacturing market to come about in the UK.
We already trust remanufactured products with our lives. Some airlines now buy power by the hour, which means that the manufacturer retains control of the engines throughout their life and remanufactures them when it becomes necessary. Could the same model work for the car industry? This startup in Wales is convinced it can. So much so that in their business model, remanufacturing is not an afterthought, but a crucial element of profit.
This is called the rasa after tabula rasa, which is Latin for clean slate. It's the first hydrogen fuel cell car that we've built for European type approval for regulations and use on the road. We're probably the only car company in the world who hopes never to sell a car. And typically customers will sign up for a 1 to 3 year contract, and that is an all-inclusive contract. It covers all the costs, it includes insurance, and specifically includes fuel. We want to keep the cars out there, and at the end of life, the car and all the components are on our balance sheet. We want to be able to use those components again. So we design the car for maximum recovery of value. The best option is to actually be able to remanufacture the component for ongoing use in the next generation of vehicle. The value in a combustion engine is in the tolerances of all the components. And because there's high-speed metal-to-metal contact and wear, at the end of life of the engine, all those tolerances are gone, and you've got $10 of scrap metal. In an electric motor, there are no components that are actually touching each other apart from the wheel bearings. So at the end of life of the motor, we can change the wheel bearings, and we can rewind the copper on the coils on the motor, and essentially you're back to having a new motor again. With the fuel cell, the same sort of logic applies. And in fact, one of the fuel cell companies that we work with reckons that they can recover 80% of the value of the fuel cell at end of life.
From fridges to cars, remanufacturing could transform many industries. But we have to change our mindset first.
It involves people actually putting back their household fridges, for example, and also expecting that they may get one back that's remanufactured.
Infrastructure projects such as HS2 are all potentially going to have, I believe, a remanufacture whole of life circular economy clause in them, because people do want to see that they're going to get continued value for money.
Imagine if, as a CEO of a manufacturing company, you came home one day and you found on your lawn all of those products that you made 15 years ago. And being a CEO, you're going to think, how do I make money out of this lot? You're not going to say, how do I throw it away? How do I dismiss this problem at lowest cost? You're going to say, how do I make most profit from it?
And once you're considering end of life, there's a hierarchy of options as to how to maximize recovery of value. At the bottom of that is recycling, and at the top of that hierarchy is remanufacturing.